Oh, this is gonna be pretty. Sorry guys, Michael is videotaping me mixing goo between my legs. I do not mix this for time. I mix it for consistency, and usually it's going to be a few minutes. This is a very small batch, but you want it really creamy, no clumps, no chunks. The resin's about like peanut butter paste. Like I do with all of these, with our wall products, I take a stick and I just try to take any really bad unmixed ARB off the sides. I'm not mixing with my stick, I'm just taking like the resin that's down in the corners, down on the bottom, taking it off. Make sure I mix that in just a little bit because I saw some. Okay. Oh, you know what? I gotta grab a flat trowel real quick. No, I forgot that. I'm bringing a few extra metal trowels. Classes have ruined all my metal trowels, like all of them. They never clean them, so just help me clean them, and we'll be just fine. Should be a good one. Good one. Good one. This is my favorite trowel that you can see I've missed a few cleanings on. I usually like to work with 2 trowels. I'm not a trowel expert, but here's a funny shout out. One of the first wall classes I ever taught was around Eli Lucero, and I don't know why the guy didn't like me. If you ever follow me, tell me why you don't like me, punk ass. He does awesome Venetian plaster, teaches classes all over the world. And at the end of the class, I did epoxy, he does Venetian, and he does his whole class photo in front of my wall, and I was like, did you not make anything pretty? I thought you guys spent a week making pretty stuff here. I want to go. I'd like to learn from him. That's probably been one of my biggest disappointments as a man in construction, as I thought construction was supposedly a male-dominated world, but it's 90% a bunch of little peen pride things, people getting butt hurt to teach each other and hiding secrets and making sure nobody else succeeds except them because they think your success is somehow their failure. And I've seen more just jealousy and weird behavior than I ever expected to see. I feel like you just learn from you should be trying to learn from everybody. So remember, the speed you drag this at, the speed you pull this at, is going to have a lot to do with how much product you work. And I'm not trying to be fast. I'm trying to actually gauge it about the thickness of the tape. So that tape is about the perfect thickness for a coating. And I'm a little too floppy with these containers underneath. with wall epoxy, it is important to get your product out of the pail, then get it spread onto your wall roughly, and then start smoothing it out and spend the rest of your time kind of smoothing it out and whatnot. So don't be trying to work across your piece getting a perfect coverage and a perfect pass until you've actually got it all out and all spread, because you'll end up taking a lot of product right off. And I think I have a few little pieces of debris in mine somehow, obviously. Now, if I have too much down, all the people in class that are like, Bob has more epoxy than me, it might not look good when it's done. So more is not necessarily better. And if you have chunks like I do in a new kit that's not in an old epoxy thing like I just mixed in, it wouldn't have that. But since we're wood graining, we shouldn't have any issues. Now, if you notice there's different, this is like a $7 or maybe $20 now with maybe I should treat this a little better now that the economy's been doing so bad. Just remember, a lot of people think that you take this and you rock it and you make a pattern like that. You can do that as an end joint or an end grain or something like that, but realize that the majority of this should be a sliding it. 99% should be sliding it, 1% should be rocking it as it's sliding, and you don't want to like pull it here and then rock it and then pull it again and then rock it. You want to be just pulling it and just barely let it roll one direction or the other while it's pulling, and it'll give you the different knots. So here we go. I want to pull all the way down to the base. Should repass that last one. Might have pushed it a little too thin on the end. I used to do a lot of concrete overlays, and I would just flat trowel with suction to get wood grains, and I'd do different colors and then spray water on it and come back and lightly grind to try to expose base colors and stuff, and I did some really cool wood grains. And then when I got into epoxy, I was always struggling trying to figure the best way to do a really nice wood grain. So now, who's ever seen like a white marble tile pattern that had black grout? You ever see something like that, or gray grout, and all of a sudden you're like, man, that was really nice looking, but all I see is your grout. I don't really see the center. So if you want to see the white underneath, and maybe you do, then wait and don't pull these till after we spray our colors down. If you want everything to kind of blend, we can get way narrower tape than this too. If you guys are, good job, buddy. You can get way narrower tape too. But just be thoughtful of that, because right now all my color is going to kind of blend in now because I pulled the tape lines. If you wanted to see like maybe a contrasting color, you could have poured black epoxy or green epoxy, and you'd have an actual, you could protect it and have an actual purposeful color underneath. This just is our single here, so. This, to me, this is one of the funner processes, more for a shower, something like that. You go directly over tile with this. So I haven't done red much, so we'll see what kind of, hopefully now I'm going to do this very, very wet. So if I was on a vertical, I'd do it a bit drier, but more concentrated, if that makes sense. I'd put more powder, less alcohol, and just be really patient with this process, and you can do verticals just fine. It's just, especially people get impatient, but you don't realize if it took you 20 minutes to color because you needed to be patient with the alcohol, that's really not that bad to color out a whole shower or a whole big wall or something like that. I want to start out just getting this really wet. It'll mix the different tones in here too. I'll spray these all together. Some of them will settle it just different. Like some of the colors are heavier than others, so you're going to get a really cool effect out of this. What other colors do we want to see? Yeah, you'd have to flatten and prep first, but then you'd do this. And like say wall tile in a bathroom, a lot of times like shower, you'll come in here and you'll just start troweling a base layer on. You can continue to trowel into it, and I'll go over the details of that until you get it smooth without ever sanding it. You just do a new batch on top of a new batch. Probably 3 hours into it, you'll have 2 or 3 mixes on the wall, and you should be getting things really smooth. If you do let it cure, then you have to obviously sand it the next day. And just be thoughtful, because once you're sanding something, you got a lot of sanding debris that you need to take care of. It'll leave drag marks in your, it adds a layer of, one way you're going to be troweling a little bit longer, one way you're going to be sanding and cleaning. So I prefer to not sand and clean if I don't have to. So the next layer kind of works as a trowel lube, and it works pretty well to go right directly over the top of something. So we can be as, this is my lack of creativity, guys, so don't. I don't really know what contrasts the best with red. That's not, these are so dead, all these bottles, sorry. Maybe, I need to mix them a little more concentrated. Okay, I hope I have a whole bunch of weird reds, and then I'll probably just do charcoal heavy if I find charcoal. I know something in front of me is charcoal.
Charcoal should be over there.
There's charcoal. There we are, yeah. I think we can make this look pretty good. I had a guy, Finesse Epoxy Systems, did a pretty cool floor like this down where he troweled out some really neat stuff and did this all on a floor. And I couldn't believe when we did the math how inexpensive, it was the cheapest like floor I've ever seen, because this one wall kit goes so far, and then he just coated it in our floor epoxy, or not the one outdoor, but a interior version of the same stuff. So now I could just leave this all here, spray this, and it would not be that risky. I can come back the next day and I could sand to expose any of my lines. Now, I like to do this while it's still wet, but remember, I'm barely touching this, and I'd rather make a couple extra passes and be gentle on this than work too fast and scrape all the way down to 0 and have to start over again. So just remember, this is all about finesse. And there you are. So if that had been black, you'd have black exposed lines. If it had been any other color, it would be that color. If you sprayed a different color on top, that would be the accent of your wood grain. Now we can take this, if we want to kind of subdue it a little, we could definitely still sand this on Thursday, and we could still pour it clear if we wanted it perfectly flat. So, and if you wanted like a Swifferable floor with whatever pattern in it. So is this what I'm maybe doing in Canada, I think, on countertops? I think that's what I just did, a wood grain. I think I might have been too much for them, so sometimes I'm too expensive. So, all right, if you guys want to grab this, be creative with this, and take any of my anything up here that you want to borrow to spray. Borrow any of these trowels, are all your guys's. So use whatever. Really, just take your time troweling. What's that, sir?
You would use that over these?
Yeah, don't be afraid to use these. These will be better for you. It's such a small class. I trust that I can even clean them all myself. Maybe a little more. Don't be afraid to wipe some off. If I give you too much, and I very well might be giving you guys too much, just remember, excess is not your friend. sir. Are you still enjoying this today?
Yes.
Thank you for being here. You have such a good person. You have a really good personality, man. Thank you for being here. The chiropractor. Yeah, remember too, you really, on a flat surface, you can't have too much alcohol. You can spray it pretty heavy and be good. Turn your trowel up at a little more of an angle than you're doing. Turn an angle, yeah. You kind of want it at about a 45 on there, yeah, and just nice and slow. So instead of working like, trying to get it down like this, just pick some up on your trowel nice and slow, and then put it right at that edge. See how I'm able to kind of cut in that edge like that? And then just work real slow across. And you'll be watching that it's scraping it right off to that tape. So there you are. Troweling's really just I like to trowel things, but I've troweled concrete and overlays and different things, so it just takes a feel to really get into troweling. And I think if you pretend you're good at it, you have a chance of being good at it. Do you get anybody watch any of the really good Venetian guys? They always have a full sleeve that has to be in full view. Like, I cannot trowel without my slightly out of shape arm with all the tattoos, like holding they always have the perfect, like.
All the colors.
Yeah. Like, I don't have any tattoos. What tattoo should I get? If I was gonna get a tattoo for you guys, you know what? 1 million followers on TikTok, I'll get a tattoo for you guys.
While you're wearing asses.
Maybe I should hit diamonds on my nipples. For diamond coat, guys, don't be perverted. No, I wouldn't do that. No, I've never had a tattoo. Okay, the real life, this is real. This is how dumb I am. I used to think I was going to be in the CIA because I worked in the Marines and I almost got a job for Blackwater, and that's what a lot of the guys went to. I never went to the CIA. I went and set tile. So I thought if I got interrogated and captured that I didn't want tattoos cut off of me. And in the construction world, nobody has interrogated, captured me, and peeled tattoos off me. So it's never happened on a job. You've never had a job turned sideways like that? You know your job's been bad when you're in the basement getting waterboarded. Son of a bitch. I should have said yes. You can have the extra warranty.
My father was a master plasterer.
Well, your father's a gangsta. And who is this? Suzette? Suznap. Suznap, your dad's a badass then. Well, he might be an asshole. I don't know, but it sounds like it. I'm guessing he's amazing. And he has a daughter like you that talks about him, so that's all every father would want. So, good job, dude. What's that?
American God style tattoo.
American. What's an American God style tattoo?
It's a book by Neil Gaiman.
That's a what?
It's a book by Neil Gaiman. American Gods. Highly recommend it. A lot of fun.
American gods. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is my only God I can ever worship. I'm such a weirdo. People know that I believe in Jesus, so then they think I'm really religious. And then they're like, wait a minute, he just dropped an F-bomb. And I'm like, oh, I actually hate church. I just love Jesus. I love the Jesus that beat people's ass at church and threw them out. You are doing good, man. Just remember that nice and smooth. The slower you go, just nice and smooth. Whatever, the smoother the stroke, the better it's going to be. If you notice you're skipping a little bit, just keep that. Let me try. You're doing really good, by the way. I don't think I'm going to do any better than you did. So just want to see if I can make it a little smoother,
Well, I think
so it's not choppy or that cross
other
line
tape
there.
lines have kind of.
Yeah. Oh, you're
see,
good.
it's actually making it pop up there.
Yep, and
Running over that one,
that's pretty good though.
which is what I was trying to get rid of.
You
and
already
that's how-
you already got it so smooth. Your wood grain tool is going to be perfect on that. You're not going to have a problem making that look good. Same. That's getting really good. Let's just take your excess and scrape it off. So now the biggest thing with you just getting. We need to now start just removing some of this. Yeah. Yep. This gentleman owns an auto detail company, but he also details private jets. Maybe you get him to do it. Same with a boat. If you have a boat, boats and hose. I don't know. I think he details the boat and not the hose. Sorry. Step Brothers reference. I was not trying to be offensive. Yeah, let me see this. You're doing good, bro. You gonna come back and work with me again someday? You better. How old are you? 35 or 50? I can never tell. White people, we just age. I could be 28 and I just worked a hard life. Every time my little girl sees, like, it's always a white dude with a little bit rougher on the edges, and she's like, man, looks like that guy smokes crack. I'm like, I don't even think you know that, but. Daddy, that man's a crackhead. Well, sweetheart, he might have just been stressed for a while. We don't know.
Oh, she
That's
said
good,
he
dude.
was a Marine, so I thought patriotic tat with a touch of faith.
Oh, I like that. That's very good. Thank you for sharing that. Smooth with a trowel there. Even his wife is smooth. Little pressure, a little more pressure, and keep it slow. You want to try to get all those grains to get as close to that white. The cleaner and more separated everything looks, the more definition you'll have in your main pour. And don't rock very much. And when you do, rock to very opposite sides of the trowel, so it's a really different grain. You guys are doing good. I don't know that you need my help anymore. What are you looking for, ma'am? The bucket? Yeah.
I have a pile to get.
You know, you can wipe it on your table too. This will all peel right off our plastic too, so don't worry about it. Yeah. Make a fun mess. This is your fun mess building. If you guys need to borrow any of my sprays, feel free to grab any of these up here that you want. Remember, your trans colors aren't going to pop out a whole lot because it's not a very dark background, so you barely see that at all. So if you did a translucent.
That box is empty.
Was that the last rag?
Yep.
Okay, thanks. We'll get you. I don't know. Trans purple, because I like purple. I like the violet colors a lot. And I think that'll kind of settle on there. It'll kind of settle and look good. A little bit clear. So make sure I wash that off so it's not. Remember, the smoother the stroke, the better everything is. Hey, damn good, man. Don't do anything. You're perfect right there. Just spray your colors. That's better than a lot of people do their first time ever. Now, just remember, if you want to see like a really contrasting line between your planks, leave the tape down now, and we'll spray and we'll let all the alcohol evaporate before we pull. But if you want to kind of blend everything a little more like mine, you can pull your tape right now. So whatever you prefer. And don't be afraid to grab gloves, guys. So we got gloves up here. So.
You know, they make greener pads now too, right?
What's that?
Like they make greener pads, like flat pads that you can do this with.
Oh, there's a ton of graining. We just do all the same exact ones, so we're not trying to. I used to have different width and tools, and if you came to a wall class only, we'd bring out a lot of different stuff. Here is our island that we've been starting for our river table. This will be in the center of our ocean-themed river pour, so let me know what you guys think. I think it's going to go down here somewhere as such. And then we're going to have little sandy beaches around it and stuff. I'm going to have an airplane crash that's pushing into the sand, an old World War II plane that's just an old wreck. I'm trying to get a submarine or a diver for when we cut and do the end. I'm going to try to ombre it like you were saying. I want it to be like almost dark blue water at the bottom, like some whales down there in the deep. So yeah, this will be a really fun, very pretty project you guys should love and tune back in for.
So if we're leaving the the tape on, still do that light trowel? Or,
We're leaving the tape. Yeah, you'll do everything the same. And then if you leave the tape on, just let the alcohol totally evaporate before you peel it. Remember, your colors can go pretty heavy here today too, so. If you guys want to see what the end results of some of this is wall epoxy, and I'll show you where. I need to finish polish out this end of the wall, but here kind of is a wall done with wall epoxy by the class, one of them. This has some stenciling. This is real true metal copper that we put back into the top, which is fun. A lot of our wall classes we would go over our true metals with, but this is directly over drywall. We go right over tile with this. This is very durable, very hard, much more durable than any kind of plaster or Venetian plasters or anything like that. And I love Venetian and all the different plasters, but this here is more for like a wet area such as a shower or something like that. More, I mean, you're gonna make more profit putting it in a shower. So here's an unfinished where I did just a skip pattern. We have to come back and actually still polish this, but this is copper with bronze. All the brown is actually bronze that we can sand into and polish, and that'll be polished bronze here. So yeah, so kind of fun. And then you can always just pour clear as a wall, like the one behind me. This is actually our countertop epoxy, about 1.5 inches thick, over 100 gallons here. Now it's coming up on 2.5 years old, and still very, very clear. So you can see that it's a rough look, but that's because we poured it on a rough background of melamine, so it would have that texture and kind of not be able to see through it. So you can also take a smooth pour and sand it and get that same effect. So here is one more wall that we have with wall epoxy. This is kind of showing what we can do here. This is a pretty rough wall, and we've actually troweled this. This would be about 2 kits that's on this, so very little. It's very little product, but it just takes some time really getting it smooth and kind of decorative. And then I sanded and polished it, and this here has been sanded out to about 2,000 or 3,000. So pretty polished, but think if this is 2,000 to 3,000, you can go all the way up to 5,000 or 7,000 depending on what system you're using. You can even do 7 and then an ultra fine polishing paste. So if you think this is smooth, you can get much smoother and have a perfect mirror. But everything just takes time. And sometimes I almost like the intermediate or lesser polishes. They just look cleaner and they're easier to keep clean looking. So thank you very much for being here. If you guys have any questions about any of this, let me know. Oh, here's some of our samples here for the wood floor. This is what we're doing in there. Here's a super simple single color wood. This is, I think I put gold on black on this, so just really simple gold on black, and you could cover square footage really fast like that, keeping it simple. Thank you guys so much for joining us here. We're going to get out of here for the day, with you guys anyways. We're going to do a bunch of fun things without you. I'm just not really. We're just going to talk and do a bunch of training. But thank you for being here, and I will see you guys tomorrow.